Hey, welcome, and thank you so very much for joining me on another episode of Talking Cloud. Now, this is where we talk about cloud, anything, all things cloud, and really we talk about anything technology or computing related because when I started this program, I strongly believe that everything's going to be touching the cloud one way or another as we evolve. And as you all know, I'm the Gilligan in the room, never the smartest, but I always get some brilliant guests, some professors, I like to call them. And man, today I'm super jazzed because I met this brilliant woman when she was the keynote at an event that I spoke at. And when we started to talk, we just kind of got on like a house fire. And I really liked her and I loved her. She's smart. She's strong. You can tell she knows her shit. And it's just really terrific. And what I'll say is Citi, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, JPMC, those are just some of the organizations where she's held, her most recent role at Citi, Senior Vice President, Technology, Chief Operating Officer, Global Technology and Risk Control strategy. Strategy. I'll get that word out. It's early. Strategy, automation, and optimization. It's a real mouthful. I couldn't say all the other titles. I don't have enough time in the program. But I'm here with Amy Chaney, and I'm so happy to have you here, Amy. Thanks so much.
I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I mean, the title in short is make it better, right? Improve the environment. That's what I do. I'm a transformation artist. There's all kinds of artists in corporate.
But your focus is technology related.
Absolutely. So tech and cyber transformation generally is on everybody's radar and everybody's roadmap in this domain and that domain. Every single year there's something moving, if not 3 or 5 things.
Right. Well, look, I didn't really, other than shouting out a bunch of giant organizations kind of lending immediate credibility, you can take it from the dock any way you want to go. I'm happy to talk about whatever you'd like to talk about, what your passion is. You want to tell me what you did over the summer, whatever. But I'll let you take it away.
All right. Well, yeah. So I like technology. I spent 10 years at Bank of America, and they had this ad campaign that I like. That's like "Can't Stop Banking" or something. It's just cute. It's like somebody's dancing with their date, and they're just like on their phone over their shoulder banking on the app. They just can't stop. That's me. We played games when I was little. The only one everyone would get to the table was like Monopoly. I play cards with a lot of people in my family. Yeah. I'm pretty good at math, pretty good at certain types of logic and abstract reasoning at a very rapid clip to kind of formulate maybe a good next step. So I always have a plan: B, C, D, E, F, G, H.
Where'd that come from? Was that a learned skill? Just
how I am. A lot of my family is like that. I'm that on steroids. So anyway, I just look for bigger playgrounds. Why would I move from Chase to Citi and do a Horizon with Huntington, who had 5 cloud environments in the middle? And they thought they had 3. So acquisitions, they'll get you, man. You buy some stuff, and then you buy some stuff you bought with your stuff. And then you bought some personalities with your stuff. Yeah. And then some people that love their stuff in your stuff, that it's just like, oh, stuff, I need to hire a specialist.
And what you're talking about is you're talking about the environments each of us get very passionate about, and then we become a part of a different organization that has maybe a different favorite color.
New vibe, a new thought, a new goal. I
How do you
usually work
handle that?
in
Do you like
big.
just force it? Say, hey, listen, gun to your head, you're switching. I mean, how do you
It
go
depends on
about it?
how they want let or just give me free license. I'm a free license kind of person because like I mean you either hired me or you're training me. So if you're training me, don't give me that much power. If
Right.
you're if you want me to change it, I'm gonna change it. I mean, I've had to tell people that have hired me in and given me their teams they've curated over years that it's not going to be pretty from your perspective. If you look at the people, it's going to be perfect from your perspective if you look at the objective, because we're going to sail past it very quickly, hit that and
Mm-hmm.
three more. So you need to let me know what kind of lever to put on this versus that.
Right.
So I've had those conversations very particularly when it comes to human capital being lost or cut, which is a bit of the name of the game of efficiency. um, how much do we want to retool, reskill, boost that workforce? How much do we want to make that workforce compete themselves out of the job by automating themselves?
Yeah.
Um, but by way of which learning the skills to gain a higher level job. So, is it right, wrong, or indifferent? I don't attempt to put together a plane in my backyard before I take a trip, and I take a trip about every week.
Yeah. Right.
Someone else does that.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so,
tell you, I had a real interesting conversation. I was with a bunch of CISOs last week in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
yeah.
And there was a real interesting discussion going on. I had a presentation at the opening, but then also was on this AI panel, and we were
Mhm.
talking about AI and the impacts and consequences and whatnot. And one of the things, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, was the whole idea that where it really seems to be applicable today, where we're seeing the big ROI, is at the beginning of the yellow brick road, so to speak, at the entry level, at that very rudimentary first level.
Mhm.
But the comment was we're losing those entry level people to move up the chain, and the entry level is raising. It's going up to a higher level. What do you
Uh,
think of that?
I mean, people have been around for a minute. There's technologies that have created things just in the past that we can see historically have happened or are still partially there that we just don't even understand how it happened because we assume they only had this many tools or less developed minds or yeah, whatever. The reason that we think there's cavemen with stone tools is because that's what's durable and remained. That wasn't the entire enriched culture. Who knows that they didn't have electricity? Who knows that they didn't have, like, were really aqueducts the first running water? I see innovations all the time, anywhere and everywhere. And people latch on to big movers and small ideas alike, depending on their composition of their culture, the people. Ideas may come up, hey, we did this at my last company, it was successful, we can do it here. Or, department three doors down is doing it, we can do it here. So sometimes that's a strategy. Sometimes all the competition is doing it, or everybody's buying this. We must. We don't know why we
Mm-hmm.
need it, but we know we need it. All
Mm-hmm.
the sheep fall off the cliff. Um, you know,
Yeah.
in some scenarios on that one, and sometimes the pack stays together and survives. But there's going to be reasons people are going to start to be motivated. That underlines any change, no matter what the ROI, the KRIs, the KPIs might look like. It comes down to people have to have a certain feeling that they're going to have a better deal at the end of this than they have at the start. That's why people make decisions.
Do you feel like, um, because I've been reading some interesting info on this, I'm curious, the whole promise of AI, certainly in the C suite, is that it's going to change the game and save enormous money and all these other advantages, but that the actual success rate down in the field is something far different, that there's a real gap. And it's not necessarily a technological gap, but it's a human gap in terms of human anxiety, apprehension, frustration, what have you. Where do you sit on all of that?
So imagine you're trying to sell one house on a street. No matter how nice you make that house, the curb appeal, the house special, it's still going to be generally weighted by the neighborhood. What does the neighborhood sell for? How safe is the neighborhood? What's the square foot price?
Yeah.
Um, uh, and the inverse of that is, the whole neighborhood will uplift, the whole neighborhood will deteriorate. The whole tech architectures will uplift or deteriorate. We'll continue with 7 or 8 layers or 9 layers, or we'll continue with 2 or 3 smart layers. We'll have clouds, or we'll have mist, and with wind. Um, um, or things that just arrive at the right
Fog,
place and
right?
time would be
Yeah.
better. How about positionally spin up what you need when you need it, where you need it, with no contract, no whatever. Where's my spot vendors? If I want to see a really good game and I didn't buy tickets in time and I happen to be in that town, am I going to look for, a scalper? Well, I did until StubHub. Can you buy a street ticket? Yes, I got really good
Mm-hmm.
seats that way. But,
Mm-hmm.
today, that's what people are trying to do. They're trying to go from buying the street ticket. I've made my own way. I know my guys I can go to. I know methods to, is there a tool for this? Because all the time when something's happening in the market, it's been a problem. 50 versions of it in 18 different sectors and regions across the globe, generally. And so half of the solutions are born out of people that just are tired of seeing problems slow walked through this maze of American gladiator gauntlet with procurement and risk and compliance and
Right.
external regulators and
Right.
budget. You're just every way you can get haircuts until you're like, I've got nothing left. It's my bottom line looks like an iceberg.
Yeah.
My under the line requests are too large. Therefore, it's always a position of people trying to tell the right risk story, saying this doesn't happen. No one in banking really prepared for ransomware the way people in manufacturing did. Why? Because manufacturing get hit everywhere all day long, still 3 years running. Manufacturing has to level up there. Does banking? Not really. We see it coming from a mile. We're like, what are you trying to make there? Stop that. And we're like,
So,
I'm splashing your head.
I want to go back. Are you seeing a lot of implementation with regards to AI, and
I'm
what
at
are they, and
Citibank.
are they working?
City Global, City, all those companies that make cities in 200 countries. When I was at City 16 years ago, we were in 74 countries. Jane was the head of transformation. I did tech PMO. I was a SVP, talking to 5 CIOs on every project. Now I'm automating anything and everything I can, tech, cyber, architecture, engineering. We have AI tools at our disposal. Any flavor you want. I want to go learn. I want to put a scenario forward. Someone will drive it out. Um, so we've purposely trimmed down the workforce, been AI first, not taken a lot of our workloads and put them in clouds and virtualized environments, really just owned our own data and processes and are rationalizing control environments, things like that. So
You're building your own LLMs, your own infrastructures.
everything inside is generally the way the largest banks are going. Although we pick up intel from everybody, we care about what everybody else sees. We just go do the exercise ourselves as well, and we have our own consortiums. If you think of like the FS ISAC or healthcare ISAC, why and who's always sitting on those? Like people I'm sitting on governance calls with every day,
Right.
depending on what bank I'm in. They're contributing there to connect that. Plus there's the meeting hubs. We'll say you and I know each other in many different cities. Maybe we go out to dinner, maybe we go to breakfast, maybe at lunch we have 3 or 4 different conversations, maybe 2 or 3 other people connect that idea with us, and at some point something takes off and launches, right? It's that organic. where people are moving in and out of roles, creating the solutions, being responsible for managing. Like I've been a domain owner for IAM several times. I've blended 5 cloud environments down to 2. I've spun up brand new cloud, US, European, go around the world. That's the strategy of Chase and Bank of America, is creating their own cloud.
IAM as in identity access management?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everything from directly leading domain change with external third parties, internal, pushing the business change to define their own business rules, business access rules, um, contextualizing all of the entitlements so they're not just technical entitlements, understanding the actual logs and monitoring the sessions appropriately, not just having nefarious and understandable. So just go through every single possible way that you can be attacked or breached, and that concept of not creating super high micro segmented payloads with a big red flag flying over them, attack me, but instead being very smart and very fluid with only granting access right when you need it. People don't carry months and weeks and years of access in those environments. If you look at the horizontal examinations of that bank environment and others, you'll see this thing they do. They'll say ahead of the curve, with the curve, behind the curve. We're ahead of the curve in so many ways, just by even turning features on like use it or lose it. If you're not accessing something, you don't have a business purpose, it goes away.
Deprecated. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And it's
Yeah,
not hard to pick up.
so one of the things I noticed in your profile, serial entrepreneur,
Yes.
advising lots of startups, and I'm curious, but I guess probably 4 years ago, it seemed like, man, there was so much money going into identity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was on fire. In
Yeah.
fact, I was an angel in a
Mm-hmm.
startup. But then it seems like the, you know, coming in for the A round or the B round or any, trying to get more sense,
Mm-hmm.
this whole
Well, I
AI
mean,
phenomenon, it's been virtually, and there's been an enormous consolidation within all of the various startups in the identity space, some of them dropping off. The one I
yeah,
invested
good.
in got acquired by Jump Cloud,
Yeah.
which was great news for me. They got 20,000 customers, and I think they have a run at it. But I'm just curious, are you seeing that same occurrence across the identity plane because of this taking all the oxygen out of the room AI phenomenon?
So I hadn't thought about it like that, but like if I think about it differently because I'm very intimately like it'll come back around first. Let me say that. Didn't go anywhere. It's like this. Think of the wave.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
It's
I mean,
gonna
the number of vendors that can stay and
the
hang. I mean,
power behind the need to secure and understand identity hasn't reduced. It's like it's just think of like the wave in the ocean. It's still there. What happened? Okay, so Gartner's just pumping the gas. Identity and Access Management Conference, identity, and the values like, oh, that was fun. Oh, the football's landing. Okay, so then they moved to Dallas. I just spoke at the Dallas one last December, kind of, getting a little lift right there. But think about the topics that happened between 2018, 19, 20, right? What had to happen after COVID was okay, now we have new attack surface. Now we have to look at all these SaaS applications. Now we have to look at all our APIs. Now we have to, it says in FFIEC IT handbooks and some of these obscure regulations that live around the world that we have to have inventory of our IP addresses, and we're spinning up ephemeral things, and it was just crazy nonsensory,
yeah.
right? So people having to rationalize, um, too much to rationalize. If you came into that environment and you're a new quote operator, you have too many people that you're beholden to. It's completely work interruptive to have to stop. So companies are starting to sway to something happened in a regulatory environment, everyone's going to pick up a tool because they all got regulatory action. Or something's happening on a grand environment. Identity, quantum, and AI are not going anywhere. They're coming together along with healthcare. Healthcare is going to take identity, where know your customer and IAM, authorization, authentication, type things, runtime review sessions for privileged access, and those that can't get you as far as really watching and understanding how and what is being executed to be bespoke and to suit the actual business flow. We have this model, we just stock people for X number of hours, like my keyboard here. They all should be about the same size and do the same thing. And there's some big keys. Maybe this key runs those other keys, but the jobs aren't that many hours. How many things can I do in a day, week, and a month? Well, whole darn lot if I try to optimize my time and actually segment out to targets. Not that much if I just kind of like peck away at one thing. I'll get less done actually. So it's the same thing with businesses. They've got several initiatives going at once. You can't have everything, and you can't have only one focus. So these focuses, identity was such a top of the mountain for so many years, a top risk in every company, healthcare, bank, energy, tech, for 10 years running, almost 20 years running. Top risk, emerging risk are identity, general access, privileged access.
Sure.
And then
I don't break in anymore. I just log in.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
I think that epitomizes how critical identity has become. There's no question, but when are we going to, when's healthcare? I just had this discussion with Oded Vanunu, my guest that I had that published last week. And it's about the whole potential of tokenizing this stuff, putting it on the blockchain.
Sure.
Seems like we've got everything there, but it doesn't seem like we're making a lot of progress in that direction.
There's no reason. People feel good enough. There hasn't been something that's big enough to push people in that direction. Everybody's all, let's go metadata tag and contextualize our data again. Data's gold, and not making light of that exercise. But we knew that 20 years ago too. Business rules, like understand your access, manage to those rules. Don't create extra compliance risk. The idea isn't to stack as much access as you can.
Sure.
To hold
like
as
the
many,
old days.
Yeah, to help
the
hold
old
as
days.
much data.
Oh, Amy, she goes in that bucket. And then every rule that bucket has, Amy gets, which is obviously not the way it should be.
Or like, here's my personal stockpile of all my versions of everybody else's everything with enough data in there that could take down my company. To be frank, that's not today's way. Although most people that have been around from that time to now still operate that way.
Yeah.
They operate that way to the level their environment allows it. They will always operate that way unless there's a reason for them to change. They don't feel compelled, they won't change. Right. And then you've got new people that are like, I want to know my company donates to X cause, and I don't care what they ask me to do. As long as they support that cause, I'm in. They have a very different mentality. Not everybody, but I'm just saying.
Sure.
There's a
we
wide
all go to
array.
A different drummer, right?
Yeah. So taking people out of that's nice. My paycheck comes like clockwork. So should my attention to the corporate objectives that the shareholders or the CEO and the people, the board asking me to do a certain job or asking me to do.
Yeah.
So
that's always the balance, right? That's the balance. So what do you focus on? If you can identify from an automation perspective, give me maybe some use cases of automation that is like maybe even that you've found companies overlook.
First of all, segmental augmentation of anything that can be quickly moved along with a larger lift is a good thing to do. Let me explain. who doesn't have a gazillion workflows in Snow, ServiceNow? So
Right.
if it's snowing in your neighborhood, you can clean up your streets. So, and if you have a few big initiatives, just have your guys go ahead and package all the mid and small ones too at the same time. Let them be a center of excellence. Let them love that tool.
Hmm.
What we do too often is we don't think about a smart strategy that positions us for the long term. If you have a center of excellence around always converting and automating ServiceNow processes, whether they come from business slice A, B, C, or D, they're always going to be good at ServiceNow and know the latest, greatest, the tricks. They can harmonize. They can look at the 2 or 3 other workflow tools. If you're a bank like mine, the 17 others,
Right.
convert them, help,
Tool
create best
fatigue.
practices. And so that's just a simple thing that's affinitizing, not a word, should be.
Does
We
that
all know
make
what it
things
means.
worse when you are so big that you have the ability from a
Mhm.
financial perspective and sometimes the autonomy or maybe just not the cross
Mhm.
departmental communication that can actually hurt you when you end up having too many tools that cause duplication, no?
I mean, well, you don't have to stay that way is the point.
Yeah,
Like I'm shaking
yeah,
my head at you don't, the environment of today doesn't have to stay. Um, Now, something doesn't always have to be changing either. I mean, sometimes you can just give a rest to your team. What company gives their team a month break during the summer instead of change freeze during winter? Where is that company? They need to show up. Who wouldn't appreciate that? City just gave their employees 2 weeks to work from home during August. Any 2 weeks they want, anywhere, like whether they have a 3-day, a 2-day work, or a 5-day requirement. Why? Because it's nice. Because
yeah,
it tells people I care. I care
yeah.
that you're doing stuff that I don't even see to make my stuff do things that I do see. you
Right.
know? And so sometimes it's really just turning the right lever or saying, yeah, guys, these weekends are going to suck. If you're not up for it, please be honest. If you've got a situation, let us know.
Yeah.
If you want to put the time in, let us know. And the people will tell the truth and they'll follow through. If you force them all into it, you'll get dissension, weirdness, like strange, like, oh, I thought they were here. They're
Hmm.
like they don't show their face anymore on the call.
Yeah, yeah.
They've
Turn your
disappeared.
camera on. Right. Yeah.
They're like,
So so I'm curious, where do you think most companies could kind of turn and see
uh-huh.
some improvements that maybe they're overlooking, or is that impossible to answer? Everybody's a little bit different, like fingerprints.
I'm sorry, I have to introduce Cybercat, who just won't stop meowing in case
Oh,
that came
cool.
through on Riverside recording here.
Let's
But
see him.
yeah, so curious where I'm seeing kind of kick that question off again.
So I'm just curious, you obviously have a unique ability to look at an organization and see ways they can
Oh, sure.
optimize, improve, and you've been doing it for large
Mhm.
organizations for a long time. I'm
Yes.
just curious if you've seen any common thread
Hmm.
that most companies seem to overlook
Hmm.
that could really give them some improvement.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was kind of thinking you were asking, like applicable kind of in
Yeah,
general.
just some ideas.
Well, first is making a low bar of entry to even have an idea, to start to share ideas, one thing that I've seen that's very successful is when you open up a quote OpX or idea box or something like that and just say, we're going to dedicate, 5 minutes to every town hall to the top 5 ideas. Or
Hmm.
what? Are you kidding me? People are going to be like typing it up,
I
putting
was
it
just
in
going to
there.
ask, how much do you go back to the constituency and seek out ideas from them?
Depends
Do
on
you
where
find
you
that?
are and what type of change you need to make. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm a restructurer. Sometimes I'm
yeah,
absolutely just taking people's, roles and telling them at this point in time their skill set and them particularly are no longer necessary to the equation, nor is their unit, nor is that office or something like
Right.
that.
Right.
Sometimes I'm saying, when you come to work Monday, you're going to be part of United Technologies, you're going to be part of JP Morgan Chase, or we're now on a transition on let's see, Project Capri, and
Mm-hmm.
the need to know order is da da da, right? So depending on the nature of a change, they're handled and managed different ways. Some are very public, some are like, here's who we are, here's where we're going, and it's that publishing at the top level, shouting almost from the rooftops, from the investor reports to the internal town halls. You're solidifying a message and a team around who we are, where we're going, what we're doing, and why we are.
North Star.
And
Yep.
that's a big deal. People
Yep.
need that already. And if you think like a foundation,
Yep. Totally.
where my elbows are right here, that's that part of it. When you get up to the specifics, what's going to turn somebody's head is different. So you've got 2 or 3 initiatives usually going on that the bank can handle at once, or that a healthcare company, or that. So what companies are missing sometimes is shoving everything forward that they know is a good idea at once instead of organizing um, against a base. I tend to take a mission and a vision, and basically, like, if you think Excel and transpose it,
Right.
what is our action around each one? How do we express that? And what are our 2 or 3 top strategies to get there, and cherry pick?
Mm-hmm.
What makes the most sense to this team, that team, and if these 2 or 3 strategies, and AI can do that in about a second.
Right.
Right?
Right.
If those 2 or 3 strategies aren't good enough, what's your better idea?
Right.
you know,
Right.
and so that usually gets things moving. And then when you start to slot for appropriate amounts of time and dollars, or people that do a good job on this initiative might be able to move to, the circle of life thing. You get people excited about their company, where it's going, that they're part of it, that they can be in the conversation. If the company tells you what you already know and what you're already doing, and you give credit to them, is it the worst thing? No. Is it a lie? Well, if you don't give credit to the leadership that was also thinking it, you want to be honest. People aren't
Sure.
dumb.
Sure.
If they put in ideas and you wholesale ignore it too, they'll know that. So
Yep.
be
When
ready.
you solicit ideas and you really don't mean it,
Yeah.
right?
People
When you say it,
remember.
heck yeah, they do. I mean, that's something I think that's really, um, it's kind of,
It's memorable.
it's obviously not genuine, right? And people pick up on it. That's the bottom line.
Well, and
So
if you meant to do something and you couldn't because whatever impact you had, just say it. Just tell folks, hey, we have this in mind, or we thought it'd be good, but at this point in time, we can't do it because XYZ, but we're looking for, we're looking to, reopen that, whatever, delivery stream
yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Uh,
I'm curious. Didn't you tell me you were doing something with ISSA or ISACA or somebody like that?
Something. So I was elected last year as the president of the largest information system security association
See,
in
I
the
thought it was
world.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like about 150. Ours is the
Only the
largest.
largest in the world.
Mhm.
What's the
Well,
organization?
it's Texas. I mean, it's North Texas Information Systems and Security Association. Everything's bigger in Texas,
That's true. That's
right? So
true.
the
Although
international conference would
Alaska,
be here.
things are big up there too,
They
and that's
are.
where
They are.
people,
Maybe I'll make a Greater Alaska ISA, and we can acquire that with Texas.
well, when I went up there and I moved there 87, I
Yeah.
was actually amazed on how many people were either from Texas
Hmm.
or moving to Texas. I
Hmm.
mean, there's a real
There
affinity
really
between
is. Yeah,
those
I
two
know. I know people
states.
there. Yeah,
They're big and they're independent.
and they like to fly their own planes. They like
Yes.
to do their own
Yeah.
thing. They like to, and they're like,
Independent.
don't call
Yes.
me if the weather looks bad. U.S. It's cool. We're cold.
Yeah, yeah, we don't
we're,
care what the stinking
we're
weather is.
literally
We live
cooler than
here.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
We
Yeah,
actually are.
it was a great experience. But that was one of the things I thought was interesting is there seemed to really be an affinity between the two states, and I
I,
think in part it's because um, Texas always said we're the biggest state, and then Alaska started arguing, so they decided to make up instead of argue, since Texas would
yeah.
have lost, but it's just lower 48, and so I think it's kind
Yeah.
of funny.
It's kind of like saying you have a 4 acre lot, but it's down the side of a mountain. Like when I used to live in
And
Almaden
you can't
Valley, it's
use it.
like,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Yes.
No.
Exactly. Exactly.
How much of that Alaska how much of that are you farming right now?
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Well, there's 3 months out of the year when the permafrost melts.
Yeah. I mean, do you take your moose on a wash on a leash walk? I
Yeah.
mean, come on.
No.
Like
No.
give me a break. I mean,
It's
I've got Scandinavian family. There's like a whole 2/3 of the country. We're just like, yeah, that's our country, but whatever.
Do you know that what was the statistic, if I remember right? The population density in Alaska is such that if the same population density was in Delaware, there'd be less than 100 people there.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
I mean, because it's like less than a million people, right, in the entire state.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, there's probably an element, we shouldn't say this because I lived in what was considered Northern California that I knew for sure was Central California, like, Santa Cruz and stuff. That's
Right,
Central,
right, right,
completely.
right. Yeah,
Carmel,
northern
Monterey.
is
Yeah. So
way
we
farther
would go
north.
up to Shasta. Well, Redding, there's some areas they dump off some people there from like the whole country.
Yep, yep,
Yeah. Well, we
yep.
got our houseboat stuck on Lake Shasta, and there's like, you can't move it. You're just kind of a sitting duck, and you're like, well, I don't really want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Wake up and you look for a muddy footprint. Yeah, so,
Right.
yeah, but so there's like different elements in the country that have different, we'll say, crime scenes, different things to think about, different. But since we went kind of digital, right? We've gone. Everything goes a little horizontal on you. Everything goes a little nebulous on you, and it's like, hold on, can that cyber gang really spin up in 20 minutes while they're watching a TV show together from all over the world, and they all decide they hate something that somebody wrote in, a Hollywood studio, and now they're attacking. By that afternoon, they're profitable. That's great. Yeah, that
Yeah.
happens.
It's remarkable, and this is one of the things Odette and I were just talking about. The advent of AI now in the hands of the bad guys, what used to take
Oh, it's like
weeks,
lightning.
right? It's like seconds.
Oh, it's
And
it's absolutely, and better than that, it's like, not that my devices should be listening to me right now, but if I ask them to, effectively create some strategies to do some malicious, intended, negative things, could they? Yes. Could I hop over guardrails like they were
yep,
speed bumps in a parking garage? Yeah.
totally,
I mean, we
totally.
drive trucks in
Pegasus, look at
Texas.
Pegasus, man. We talked about that just briefly. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
scary, scary program.
You
And
just start your AI with, "Why do you hate me?"
I mean, I just can imagine, if I was the target.
No, we will be. And we are, and it's in practice. I mean, remember when Disney had those cute little wall crawling robots? Wall crawling robots?
Yeah.
Rapid speed. Yeah. You see what we
It,
just saw in the Middle East? That was
it's
nothing. They could do more.
it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So, yes, there are things that I might be swatting, and I'm like, gosh, that's a pretty big mosquito. Oh, it was metal.
Mm,
How long has it been watching me? you know?
yeah.
Oh, I just stepped outside. I didn't realize I was in Scottsdale. Oh, I'm not, but I think it looks like I am. Where's my neighbors?
Yeah.
Who's got me?
I tell people all the time, if you remember the old commercial, is it live or is it Memorex, right?
Oh yeah.
This is where we're getting in virtually every aspect of our life.
Mm-hmm.
You never, I mean, unless you're able to, reach out and grab the person by the shoulders and make sure they're there. And it's really kind of wild because the fidelity of video,
Oh yeah.
photographs, audio, forget about it.
Yeah, I just posted the cats doing like swan dives, Olympic diving board dives with their fluffy little fur doing the tucks and like
Yeah, I know. Well,
it's the weekend, why not?
the latest thing
So
now
good.
is these videos where, it's a reporter saying, I'm not real, and
Yeah.
and that the quality, that's the thing that's just remarkable.
Well, and the personalities and the stances and the well.
I'm glad I'm old because I'll be dead when I'm replaced by an avatar.
Maybe.
Or maybe I can
maybe
do
you'll
like
be
upload.
like Max Headroom and you'll be like, I thought I would be dead. What the?
Yeah. Or maybe like, upload, the show where I could just get up. I hope I have enough money I can upgrade to a high res.
I'm going to put you on a jukebox by my breakfast table. Breakfast is my favorite meal. I'll visit you like twice a day.
Perfect. That's awesome. I love it.
We'll hang out.
I love it. I think that'd be perfect. Breakfast with Amy every morning.
Yes. Yeah. And they sing about breakfast with Tiffany.
Doesn't hold a candle.
Navy is the new Tiffany blue.
That's right. Hey, thank you, Amy, for coming on and chatting. I really appreciate you taking time here out of your personal time. I'm sure I'm going to be seeing you again here coming up soon, speaking somewhere.
I bet so.
But I really, seriously, thank you so much for taking time for me today.
Amazing speaking with you, seeing your smiling face and being a part of your show. And, just to close this out, we did a nice quote of the day together before, and we threw a Vince Lombardi out there. That was a great one.
That's right.
Yeah. I think I feel compelled to just say something that's a bit of a cliche quote, but friendship is really like treasure. You're an absolute treasure to me. And every time I see you, it's like a new little sparkle or glint in the treasure box. So I look forward to our next time. And I hope this is fun for people as they kind of view and see that, cyber people meet, become friends, and there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that's wonderful. My feelings are exactly the same. And I've found it a real joy meeting you, getting to know you, and I'm looking forward to continuing on that path. So thank you again, Amy. It was awesome. Check her out, ladies and gentlemen. Amy Chaney. This is a really powerful, smart woman, a lot of great experience, a lot of great ideas. So you'll want to follow her for sure. So thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure you tell your friends to share it, like it, and we'll look forward to having you back on the next episode of Talking Cloud. Thanks so very much.